The sons avenged themselves. Nothing discouraged by two unsuccessful visits to the retreat of the sage whose advice he sought to secure, Liu Pei made preparations for a third visit. His brothers disapproved, and Kuan Yu said, "Brother, you have sought him twice. Surely this is showing even too much deference. I do not believe in this fame of his for learning. He is avoiding you and dare not submit to the test. Why so obstinately hold this idea? You are wrong, my brother. Duke Huan of Che paid 5 visits to the hermit of the eastern suburb before he got to see his face, and my desire to see the sage is even greater than his." "I think you are mistaken," said Chang Fei. "How can this villager be such a marvel of wisdom? You should not go again, and if he will not come, I will bring him with a hempen rope. Have you forgotten the great Prince Waren's visit to Chiang Ti-Zuya, the old man of the Eastern Sea? If he could show such deference to a wise man, where am I too deferential? If you will not go, your brother and I will go without you," said Yuan Ter. "If you two go, how can I hang back?" said Chang Fei. "If you go, then you must be polite." Fei said he would not forget himself, and the 3 set out. When they were half a li from the little cottage, Yuan Ter dismounted, deciding to show his respect by approaching the house on foot. Very soon he met Chuko Chun, whom he saluted with great deference, inquiring whether his brother was at home. "He returned last evening. You can see him today, General." As he said this, he went off with some swagger. "Fortune favors me this time," said Yuan Ter. "I am going to see the master." "That was a rude fellow," said Fei. "It would not have hurt him to have conducted us to the house. Why did he go off like that?" "Each one has his own affairs," said his brother. "What power have we over him?" Soon the 3 stood at the door, and they knocked. The serving lad came out and asked their business, and Yuan Ter said very deferentially, "I would trouble the servant of the genius, gentle page, to inform the master that Liu Pei wishes to pay his respects to him. My master is at home, but he is asleep. In that case, do not announce me." He bade his 2 brothers wait at the door quietly, and he himself entered with careful steps. There was the man he sought, lying asleep on the couch, stretched on a simple mat. Yuan Ter saluted him with joined hands at a respectful distance. The time passed, and still the sleeper did not wake. The 2 brothers left without, beginning to feel impatient, also came in, and Chang Fei was annoyed at seeing his revered elder brother respectfully standing by while another slept. "What an arrogant fellow is this master," said he. "There is our brother waiting, while he sleeps on perfectly carelessly. I will go to the back of the place and let off a bomb and see if that will rouse him." "No, no, you must do nothing of the kind," whispered Kuan Yu, and then Yuan Ter told them to go out again. Just then he noticed that the master moved. He turned over as though about to rise, but, instead, he faced the wall and again fell asleep. The serving lad made as if he would rouse his master, but Yuan Ter forbade him to be disturbed, and he waited yet another weary hour. Then Kai Ungming woke up repeating to himself the lines, "Can any know what fate is his? Yet have I felt throughout my life the day would come at last to quit the calm retreat for toil and strife." As he finished, he turned to the lad, saying, "Have any of the usual people come?" "Liu, the uncle of the emperor, is here," said the boy. "He has been waiting some time." "Why did you not tell me?" said he, rising from the couch. "I must dress." He rose and turned into a room behind to dress. In a short time he reappeared, his clothing properly arranged, to receive his visitor. Then Yuan-Ter saw coming toward him a man rather below medium height with a refined face. He wore a headwrap and a long crane-white gown. He moved with much dignity, as though he was rather more than mortal. Yuan-Ter bowed, saying, "I am one of the offshoots of the Han family, a simple person from Chou. I have long known the master's fame, which has indeed thundered in my ear. Twice I have come to visit you without success. Once I left my name on your writing table. You may have my note." K. Ungming replied, "This hermit is but a dilatory person by temperament. I know I have to thank you for more than one vain visit, and I am ashamed to think of them." These courteous remarks and the proper bows exchanged, the two men sat in their relative positions as host and guest, and the serving lad brought tea. Then K. Ungming said, "From your letter I know that you grieve for both people and government. If I were not so young, and if I possessed any talent, I would venture to question you." Yuan-Ter replied, "Suma Hui and Su Shu have both spoken of you. Can it be that their words were vain? I trust, O master, that you will not despise my worthlessness but will condescend to instruct me. The two men you speak of are very profound scholars. I am but a peasant, a mere farmer, and who am I that I should talk of empire politics? Those two misled you when they spoke of me. Why do you reject the beautiful jewel for a worthless pebble?" But your abilities are world-embracing and marvelous. How can you be content to allow time to pass while you idle away life in these secluded haunts? I conjure you, O master, to remember the inhabitants of the world and remove my crass ignorance by bestowing instruction upon me. But what is your ambition, General?" Yuan-Ter moved his seat nearer to his host and said, "The hands are sinking. Designing ministers steal away their authority. I am weak, yet I desire to restore the state to its right mind. But my ignorance is too vast, my means are too slender, and I know not where to turn. Only you, master, can lighten my darkness and preserve me from falling. How happy should I be if you would do so?" K. Ungming replied, "One bold man after another has arisen in various parts of the empire ever since the days of the great rebel Tung Chou. Tsao was not so powerful as Yuan Shao, but he overcame him by seizing the favorable moment and using his men properly. Now he is all-powerful. He rules an immense army, and through his control of the court, the various feudal lords as well. You cannot think of opposing him. Then the sons have held their territory in Chiangtung for 3 generations. Their position may not appear too secure, but they have popularity to appeal to. You can gain support but win no success there. Qingqiu on the north rests on the 2 rivers Han and Min. Their interests lie in all to the south of them. On the east they touch Wu, and on the west they extend to the ancient states Pa and Shu. This is the area in which decisive battles have to be won, and one must hold it in order to be secure, and heaven has virtually made it yours. Yichu is an important place, fertile and extensive, a country favored of heaven, and that through which the founder of Han obtained the empire. Its ruler Liu Chang is ignorant and weak. The people are noble and the country prosperous, but he does not know how to hold it all, and all the able men of the district are yearning for an enlightened prince. As you are a scion of the family, well known throughout the land as trusty and righteous, a whole-hearted hero, who greatly desires to win the support of the wise, if you get possession of Yi and Qing, if on the west you are in harmony with the Jung tribes, on the south win over I and Yue, make an alliance with Sun Ch Xuan, and maintain good government. You can await confidently the day when heaven shall offer you the desired opportunity. Then you may depute a worthy leader to go to the northeast, while you take command of an expedition to the northwest. And will you not find the warmest welcome prepared for you by the people? This done, the completion of the task will be easy. The hands will be restored, and I will be your adviser in all these operations if you will only undertake them. He paused while he bade the lad bring out a map. As this was unrolled, Keungming went on. There you see the 54 divisions of Sichuan. Should you wish to take the overlordship, you will yield to Tsao in the north till the time of heaven be come, to Sun Chuan in the south till the position may become favorable. You, general, will be the man and complete the trinity. Qingchu is to be taken first as a home, the west next for the foundation of domination. When you are firmly established, you can lay your plans for the attainment of the whole empire. As Keungming ceased his harangue, Yuan-Ter left his place and saluted him, saying, "Your words, O master, render everything so clear that meseems the clouds are swept aside, and I see the clear sky. But Qingchu belongs to Liu Paio, my kinsman, and Yichu to another kinsman. I could hardly take the land from them. I have studied the stars, and I know Liu Paio is not long for this world. The other is not the sort of man to endure. Both places will certainly fall to you." Yuan-Ter bowed his acknowledgments. And so, in one conversation, Keungming proved that he, who had lived in complete retirement all his life, knew and foresaw the 3 fragments into which the empire was to break. True, indeed, is it that throughout all the ages no one has ever equaled his intelligence and mastery of the situation. Behold, when Liu Pei frets that he is weak, then sleeping dragon is not far to seek. When he desires to know how things will hap, the master, smiling, shows him on the map. "Though I be of small repute and scanty virtue," said Yuan-Ter, "I hope, O master, you will not despise me for my worthlessness, but will leave this retreat to help me. I will assuredly listen most reverently to your words." Keungming replied, "I have long been happy on my farm and am fond of my leisure. I fear I cannot obey your command." Yuan-Ter wept. "If you will not, O master, what will become of the people?" The tears rolled down unchecked upon the lapel and sleeves of his robe. This proved to Keungming the sincerity of his desire, and he said, "General, if you will accept me, I will render what trifling service I can." Then Yuan-Ter was delighted. He called in Quan and Chang to make their bow and brought out the gifts he had prepared. Keungming refused them all. "These are not gifts to engage your services, but mere proof of my regard," said Yuan-Ter. Then the presents were accepted. They all remained that night at the farm. Next day Chuko Chun returned, and his brother said to him, "Uncle Liu has come thrice to see me, and now I must go with him. Keep up the farm in my absence and do not let the place go to ruin, for, as soon as my work is accomplished, I will certainly return." Then, turning from his humble home, he thought of peaceful days to come, when he should take the homeward way and ne'er beyond the valley stray. But duty kept him in the west, and there he found his place of rest. An old poem may be quoted here. The founder of Han seized his gleaming blade, and at Mangtang the blood of the white snake flowed. He conquered Tsin, destroyed Chu, and entered Hsinyang. After 2 centuries of rule, the line was near broken, but Quangwu the Great restored the glory at Luoyang, and his children occupied the throne till decay began in the days of Huan and Ling. The Emperor Ling removed the capital to Suchang, and within the 4 seas all was confusion. Bold spirits started up in fierce contention. Tsao seized the favorable moment, and the imperial authority passed into his hands, while the sons made to themselves a glorious heritage east of the river, solitary and poor. Liu Pei wandered from place to place, till he found a haven in Sinye. Sorely distressed he was at the sorrows of the people, but the sleeping dragon conceived a noble ambition. Within his breast were thoughts of great things to be accomplished by force of arms. Then, because of the parting words of Su, and by the thrice repeated visits to his retreat, the great hero found and knew his mentor. When the age of Ungming was but thrice 9 years, he turned from his books, put aside his lute and left the peaceful fields he had loved. Under his guidance Qingchu was taken, and the land of the 4 streams conquered. He unrolled great schemes. As one all-knowing in speech he went to and fro in the world. The sound of war drums rolled from his tongue, the words from his heart stirred one to the utmost depths. The dragon pranced, the tiger glared, and peace was brought to the world. Through all the ages, his fame shall never decay. After taking leave of the younger brother, Yuan Ter and his followers left for Sinye, with Ungming as companion. When they took up their abode there, Ungming was treated as a master, eating at the same table, sleeping on the same couch as Liu Pei. They spent whole days conversing over the affairs of the empire. Ungming said, Tsao is training his men for naval service, and hence certainly intends to invade the country south of the river. We ought to send our spies to ascertain what he is really doing. So spies were dispatched. Now after Sun Chuan had succeeded to the heritage of his father and brother, he sent far and wide to invite men of ability to aid him. He established lodging places for them in Wu, and directed Ku Yung and Chang Hung to welcome and entertain all those who came. And year by year they flocked in, one recommending another. Among them were An Tser of Qiuchi, Yen Chun of Piernchang, Sui Tsung of Piacian, Xiang Ping of Junan, Chu Huan of Wuchun, Lu Kai of the same place, Chang Wen of Wu, Ling Tiang of Qiuchi, and Wu Tiesan of Wuchang. And all these scholars were treated with great deference. Some able leaders came also, Lu Meng of Junan, Lu Sun of Wuchun, Su Shang of Langya, Pian Chang of Tungchun, and Ting Feng of Luqiang. Thus Sun Chuan obtained the assistance of many men of ability both in peace and war, and all went well with him. In the 7th year of established tranquility, Tsao had broken the power of Yuan Shao. Then he sent a messenger to Chiangtung ordering Sun Chuan to send his son to court to serve in the retinue of the emperor. Sun, however, hesitated to comply with this request, and the matter was the subject of much discussion. His mother, the Lady Wu, sent for Chu Yu and Chang Kao and asked their advice. The latter said, "He wishes a son to be present at court as a hostage whereby he has a hold upon us, as formerly was the case with all the feudal chiefs. If we do not comply with this request, he will doubtless attack the territory. There is some peril." Chu Yu said, "Our Lord has succeeded to the heritage and has a large army of veterans and ample supplies. He has able men ready to do his bidding, and why should he be compelled to send a hostage to any man? To send a hostage is to be forced into joining Tsao, and to carry out his behests, whatever they be. Then we shall be in his power. It would be better not to send, but rather to wait patiently the course of events and prepare plans to attack." "That is also my opinion," said the dowager. So Sun Chuan dismissed the messenger but did not send his son. Tsao resented this and had since nourished schemes for the destruction of the sons. But their realization had been delayed by the dangers on the north, and so far no attack had been made. Late in the 8th year, Sun Chuan led his armies against Huang Tzu and fought on the great river, where he was successful in several battles. One of Sun's leaders, Ling Tsao, led a fleet of light vessels up the river and broke into Sayaku but was killed by an arrow. He left a son, Ling Tiang, 15 years of age, who led another expedition to recover his father's corpse and was so far successful. After that, as the war was inclined to go against him, Sun Chun turned again to his own country. Now Sun Chun's brother, Sun I, was prefect of Tanyang. He was a hard man and given to drink and, in his cups, very harsh to his men, ordering the infliction of severe floggings. Two of his officers, Kui Lan and Tai Yuan, bore their chief a grudge and sought to assassinate him. They took into their confidence one Pin Hung, of the escort, and the three plotted to kill their master at a great assembly of officials at Tanyang amid the banquets and junketings. Sun's wife was skilled in divination, and on the day of the great banquet she cast a most inauspicious lot. Wherefore she besought her husband to stay away from the assembly, but he was obstinate and went. The faithless guardsman followed his master in the dusk when the gathering dispersed, and stabbed him with a dagger. The two prime movers at once seized their accomplice and beheaded him in the marketplace. Then they went to Sun's residence, which they plundered. Kui Lan was taken with the beauty of the dead prefect's wife, and told her that as he had avenged the death of her husband she must go with him, or he would slay her. The wife pleaded that it was too soon after her husband's death to think of remarriage, but promised to be his after the morning sacrifices. She thus obtained a respite, which she utilized to send for two old generals of her husband's, Sun Cao and Fu Ying. They came, and she tearfully told her tale. "My husband had great faith in you. Now Kui and Tai have compassed his death, and have laid the crime on Pin Hung. They have plundered my house and carried off my servants and slaves. Worse than this, Kui Lan insists that I shall be his wife. To gain time, I have pretended to favor this proposal, and I pray you now to send the news to my husband's brother and beg him to slay these two miscreants and avenge this wrong. I will never forget your kindness in this life or the next." And she bowed before them. They wept also and said, "We were much attached to our master, and now that he has come to an untimely end we must avenge him. Dare we not carry out your behests?" So they sent a trusty messenger. On the day of the sacrifices the lady called in her two friends and hid them in a secret chamber. Then the ceremonies were performed in the great hall. These over, she put off her mourning garb, bathed and perfumed herself, and assumed an expression of joy. She laughed and talked as usual, so that Kui Lan rejoiced in his heart, thinking of the pleasure that was to be his. When night came she sent a slave girl to call her suitor to the palace, where she entertained him at supper. When he had well drunk, she suggested that they should retire and led him to the chamber where her friends were waiting. He followed without the least hesitation. As soon as she entered the room she called out, "Where are you, generals?" Out rushed the two men, and the drunken man, incapable of any resistance, was dispatched with daggers. Next she invited Tai Yuan to a supper, and he was slain in similar fashion. After that, she sent to the houses of her enemies and slew all therein. This done, she resumed her mourning garb, and the heads of the two men were hung as a sacrifice before the coffin of her husband. Very soon her brother-in-law came with an army, and hearing the story of the deeds of the two generals from the widow, gave them office and put them over Tanyang. When he left, he took the widow to his own home to pass the remainder of her days. All those who heard of her brave conduct were loud in praise of her virtue. Full of resource and virtuous, few in the world are like her. Guilefully wrought she encompassed the death of the lusty assassins. Faithful servants are always ready to deal with rebellion. None can ever excel that heroine famous in East Wu. The brigandage that had troubled Wu had all been suppressed, and a large fleet of 7,000 keels were in the Yangtze River ready for service. Sun Chun appointed Chu Yu to be the admiral-in-chief. In the 12th year, 207 A.D., the Dowager Lady Wu, feeling her end approaching, called to her the two advisers Chu Yu and Chang Kao and spoke thus. I came of a family of Wu, but losing my parents in early life, my brother and I went into Yue, and then I married into this family. I bore my husband 4 sons, not without premonitions of the greatness to be theirs. With my first, I dreamed of the moon, and with my second, Chuan, of the sun, which omens were interpreted by the soothsayer as signs of their great honor. Unhappy Tsr died young, but Chuan inherited, and it is he whom I pray you both to assist with one accord. Then may I die in peace. And to her son she said, These 2 you are to serve as they were your masters, and treat them with all respect. My sister and I both were wives to your father, and so she is also a mother to you, and you are to serve her after I am gone as you now serve me. And you must treat your sister with affection, and find a handsome husband for her. Then she died, and her son mourned for her, but of that and her burial nothing will be said. The following year they began to discuss an attack upon Huangzi. Chang Kao said the armies should not move during the period of mourning. However, Chu Yu, more to the point, said that vengeance should not be postponed on that account. It could not wait upon times and seasons. Still Sun Chuan halted between 2 opinions and would not decide. Then came Lu Meng, the commander of the north, who said to his master, While I was at Lungchiasuiku, one of Huangzi's captains, Kan Ning by name, offered to surrender. I found out all about him. He is something of a scholar, is forceful, fond of wandering about as a knight-errant. He assembled a band of outlaws with whom he roamed over the rivers and lakes where he would terrorize everybody. He wore a bell at his waist, and at the sound of this bell everyone fled and hid. He fitted his boats with sails of Sichuan brocade, and people called him the pirate with sails of silk. Then he reformed. He and his band went to Liu Pio, but they left him when they saw he would never accomplish anything, and now they would serve under your banner, only that Huangzi detains them at Sayaku. Formerly, when you were attacking Huangzi, he owed the recovery of Sayaku to this same Kan Ning, whom he treated with liberality. But when Su Fei, the commander-in-chief, recommended him for promotion, Huangzi said he was unsuited for any high position as, after all, he was no more than a pirate. So Kan Ning became a disappointed and resentful man. Su Fei tried to win him over to good humor and invited him to wine parties and said, I have put your name forward many times, but our chief says he has no place suitable for you. However, time slips away and man's life is not very long. One must make the most of it. I will put you forward for the magistracy of Ocean, whence you may be able to advance. So Kan Ning got away from Sayaku and would have come to you then, but he feared that he would not be welcomed, since he had assisted Huangzi and killed Ling Tiesao. I told him you were always ready to welcome able men and would nourish no resentment for former deeds. After all, every man was bound to do his best for his master. He would come with alacrity if he only felt sure of a welcome. I pray you to express your pleasure. This was good news for Sun Chuan, and he said, with his help I could destroy Huangzi. Then he bade Lu Meng bring Kan to see him. When the salutations were over, the chief said, My heart is entirely captivated by your coming. I feel no resentment against you. I hope you will have no doubts on that score, and I may as well tell you that I desire some plan for the destruction of Huangzi. He replied, The dynasty is decadent and without influence. Tsao will finally absorb the country down to the river unless he is opposed. Liu Pio provides nothing against the future, and his sons are quite unfitted to succeed him. You should lay your plans to oust him at once before Tsao anticipates you. The first attack should be made on Huangzi, who is getting old and avaricious, so that everyone hates him. He is totally unprepared for a fight, and his army is undisciplined. He would fall at the first blow. If he were gone, you would control the western passes and could conquer Pa and Shu Shechuan. and you would be securely established. The advice is most valuable, said Sun Chuan, and he made his preparations. Chu Yu was appointed commander-in-chief, Lu Meng was van leader, Tung Hsi and Kan Ning were sub-leaders. Sun Chuan himself would command the main army of 10 legions. The spies reported that Huang Tzu, at the news of an expedition against him, called his officers together to consult. He placed Su Fei in chief command. He also appointed van leaders and other officers and prepared for defense. He had 2 squadrons of ships under the command of Chern Chiu and Tang Lung. On these, he placed strong bows and stiff crossbows to the number of more than 1,000, and secured the boats to heavy hawsers so that they formed a barrier in the river. At the approach of the men of Wu, the drums beat for the ships to attack. Soon arrows and bolts flew thick, forcing back the invaders, who withdrew till several li of water lay between them and the defenders. "We must go forward," said Kan Ning to his colleague. So they chose 100 light craft and put picked men on them, 50 to a boat. 20 were to row the boats and 30 to fight. These latter were armored swordsmen. Careless of the enemy's missiles, these boats advanced, got to the defenders' fleet and cut the hawsers of their ships so that they drifted hither and thither in confusion. Kan Ning leaped upon one boat and killed Tang Lung. Chern Chiu left the fleet and set out for the shore. Lu Meng dropped into a small boat and went among the larger ships, setting them on fire. When Chern Chiu had nearly reached the bank, Lu, reckless of death, went after him, got ahead and struck him full in the breast so that he fell. Before long Su Fei came along the bank with reinforcements, but it was too late. The armies of Wu had already landed, and there was no hope of repelling them. Su Fei fled into the open country, but he was made prisoner. He was taken to Sun Chuan, who ordered that he be put into a cage cart and kept till Huang Tzu should be captured. Then he would execute the pair, and the attack was pressed. Day and night they wrought to capture Sayaku. He sees his ships cut loose and burned by the silk-sailed pirate he once spurned. For Huang Tzu's fate, see next chapter.